Hello, once again, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Will Whitman, also known as That Draws Whitman, and joining me today is our co-host, Reed. Say hello, of course.
Say hello. This is me, Reed. Hello.
Hey, all right, yeah. Oh man, we've got a lot to talk today, especially after the 2 week break. Didn't mean for it to be 2 weeks. I only meant for it to be 1 week. But then the day we were supposed to stream last week was Memorial Day, and people are busy then. But yeah, so we're right back at you, and we've got a full plate to talk about today. Starting out pretty easy, I guess, with maybe one of the few bits of good news. It looks like my last computer part will be arriving tomorrow, so that means
Woo.
that the Twitch stream should be up and running pretty soon. Yeah, we're hoping to start streaming on Twitch. I'm hoping to launch it by Wednesday or Thursday. It depends. My parents are leaving for vacation, so I might need to help them out, and that might delay things a bit, but
Are you building that yourself, or?
yeah, dude, I have it mostly built already.
Ugh.
Oh man, it's scary at first,
That's
but
intimidating.
truth is, it's mostly like once you get past some of the difficult parts, it's mostly like plug and play. You just like plug in a bunch of shit.
I guess. You just
Like,
use like a YouTube video or something.
yeah, like a YouTube video
Something
and a
like that.
few online guides that I just obsessively read, and all the instruction manuals, which are just scattered across my room.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, but
But
luckily, yeah, the graphics card, my NVIDIA 2070, arrives tomorrow, so I'll finally actually be able to play Sekiro without wanting to bash my head through a wall every 3 seconds.
really,
Amazing stuff.
I've almost beat Sekiro. I'm on like the final boss, and it's really hard. So I've just been putting it off. Like,
I feel
I'm
you
not
though.
ready for that pain.
I feel you though. Truth told, I've never beaten Dark Souls 3. I only have gotten up to, I think it's the second to last boss. I've beaten the DLCs, which is weird.
You want to play
But
Dark Souls 3 on easy mode? Just use the Sellsword Twin Blades.
oh yeah, I know
They're really good.
that
That's
was
what I did.
that was my first build, yeah. Oh man, yeah, but there one piece of positive news, at least for me, so I won't go in completely insane by how shitty the world is becoming. Yay!
Woo!
Also, maybe not this week, but the plan is also to start a Friday show soon. Of Strange Seconds Politics. It's gonna less be like a political talk show and more educational. I'm going to be bringing in my co-host and whatever guests join me through explaining like the standard political quizzes you can take, what each result means, where general politics lie, that type of stuff. Essentially describing the differences between all these common terms that we hear and may not actually know as much about as we think.
So
But
bring your notebooks.
yeah, bring your notebooks, I guess,
We have no qualifications.
or just wait till the point that will probably inevitably happen after we all compare our results and start fighting each other. So hey, you'll have some education and then probably some entertainment. Oh man. Anyway, though, on to some more serious stuff. I'm trying to level this, so our last topic's kind of gonna be the most serious. But in other news, mail-in voting controversy has led to a war between Trump and Twitter. So Trump, I'm pretty sure a lot of people have already seen the tweet, but in a tweet recently, semi-recently at least, basically went out and said a bunch of misinformation about mail-in voting, basically saying, oh, it's going to create election fraud, and it means that the Democrats will win, blah, 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 when the evidence isn't there. And Twitter actually put a fact check on his post. Also, Diane, it is going to be 6 p.m., same time as this one is on Friday. And he is, oh my God, his reaction to Twitter fact checking.
Yeah.
Apparently, a fact check is a restriction of freedom of speech. Apparently, freedom of response doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
One thing that people like Trump and some people on that side don't get is, yes, you do have freedom of speech. You're allowed to say whatever the hell you want. Yes, if you really want to, you're allowed to blare the N-word at the top of your lungs in the middle of the street. But you know what else? Everyone else is also free to respond to you by saying, "Shut the fuck up, asshole." That's also freedom of speech. It's like, freedom of speech don't mean freedom of judgment, people. Like, come on. So of course Trump's tirading about how it's a violation and everyone's biased towards the leftist liberals and conservative quote unquote viewpoint.
Hello. Wait. What? Hello.
Hello there. Sorry about that. We just had some technical difficulties. The stream just went offline for a bit. I apologize for that. My Ethernet connection on my laptop always connect, or it likes to go, oh, but you have Wi-Fi you can also access, so I'm gonna kick you off this and put you on that and disconnect you in the meantime. Whatever, more rants. Let's hope my desktop doesn't do this to me like this is. Oh God. It is. Yeah. Oh man, I got into a rant before realizing that I forgot. So, sorry. What was the last thing you heard from me, Reed?
Mail-in voting, fraud, fact-checking.
Oh yeah,
freedom of speech. One thing I heard about the freedom of speech thing from in the Constitution is that it's about the government. Like, the government can't restrict free speech, but normal people can restrict free speech. It's exactly
why, even on this stream or whatever, if y'all be commenting on the live chat like the N-words or hateful things, I'm gonna ban you. You know, I'm gonna delete your comments and I'm gonna ban you.
Part of that's not because a government institution.
Yeah, exactly.
So they have the right to restrict what's on their platform.
Trump has also prepared and I'm pretty sure getting ready to sign an executive order against social media companies, which ironically is going to hurt him more than it helps him.
That's like his only platform.
Well, here's the thing. here's what they did. Okay, this is what it is, which is actually kind of fucking hilarious to me. They made it so that social media platforms, instead of the people who use them, it's instead of just being the people who use them, it's also the social media platforms' responsibility to make sure that misinformation isn't spread, or like to make
Yeah.
sure for like censorship and that type of stuff. What that's going to do is that's going to mean Twitter's going to be legally required to fact check every single one of Trump's posts.
Yeah, I mean, I don't I don't know what he's getting at. He's like shooting himself in the own
Yeah,
foot.
he's like,
He's
fuck
the
you,
king
Twitter,
of misinformation.
you did one bad thing to me. You're behind me, right? Let me aim this 50 caliber sniper rifle at my heart, so when the bullet penetrates me, it also hits you.
But I mean, it doesn't make sense that he's doing it, but it is kind of makes sense as a thing in general. Like, Facebook was like notorious for having fake articles and stuff.
I actually think if
But that
properly
was
implemented, that could be one of the few good things Trump ever does. One thing especially is like for streaming on Twitch or YouTube or whatever, however you do it. One of the reasons why moderators are often so strict and why I try to remove any comments that allude to like anything that's like, I don't know, against the terms of service and stuff, is because with the way it currently works on platforms, it's the streamer who's responsible for everything. And that includes anything other people post in their stream. Which means if someone starts, spamming the N-word in chat, the streamer could get banned because some spurg did that. And that's one thing that I don't really believe in. I think streamers should try and moderate their content, of course, but at the same time,
well, I think that's kind of what encourages them to moderate their content, because they would face repercussions if they don't do anything.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, I think another part of it is, though, there is a motivation to moderate yourself, even without those legal ramifications. And it's just that if you go to a Twitch stream or a YouTube stream and the first thing you see is a chat doing all that type of stuff, do you really want to, like, keep being a part of it?
Yeah, I would definitely be turned off by that.
Yeah, it's like I'd look at that stream and I'd go, oh, this guy's cultivating an audience.
Yeah.
Ooh, maybe I should stay away from him,
Yeah.
Or her. It could be either, but it's that type of thing, I guess. I don't know. Regarding mail-in voting, though, like, how is this not a thing the whole country's fucking doing? Like, we're in the midst of a pandemic. We're not going to have a vaccine for probably till after election season. Like, mail-in voting might help prevent some deaths.
Yeah, I mean, it does make sense to have mail-in voting, because there's that like one election in Wisconsin or wherever it was where like a shit ton of people got COVID because they had to vote in person.
Oh, yeah. And it's like all those people were saying, like, oh, we can do this some other time. Like, you know how long it takes to set up mail-in voting, right? You need to order like shit tons of machines that cost millions of dollars and require like months of time to get into place. Like, people are like, oh, we can deal with it later. Bro, we have like what? Like less than half a year till the elections. Like, we have 5-6 months till the elections are here, and we're just like sitting on our thumbs, just going like, we can wait, we'll figure it out. Mail-in voting bad because president told me.
Well, I mean, if you think about it from the Republican point of view, I mean, the main edge Republicans have is they're generally vote more than Democrats. So if you make voting easier, then more Democrats will vote.
That
and then they'll lose more elections.
That should just be the goal in democracy.
No. You gotta keep your.
You do have more conservative family members. Do they have any takes on that? Any
I
interesting, juicy
we got
takes?
into like a political discussion the other day that I had to like escape from. But yeah, like my dad's pretty conservative. And he was
Oh,
like
that's
saying that it would cause like more voting fraud, which, I mean, I guess I could kind of see how it could cause voting fraud, but I think the health and
I think
safety
you
of the
know what I think the
population
other
is more
thing is
important.
though, that the big thing that so many people don't realize is in the last election in 2016, 1 in 4 of all votes cast were mail-in ballots. Why didn't we see that level of widespread corruption there?
I know. Well,
That's
that's why Trump lost the popular vote because of corruption. Because
oh god, it's
not
like
because, yeah, he's
oh my
unpopular.
god. I'll admit I'm lucky on that front where my family are all very liberal. I mean, my dad is, of course, my dad's always been like pretty liberal,
Yeah.
you know, like chill and all that. One reason he also is Democratic, though, is the only time like his business got personally fucked over from politics was when like a Republican from New York changed a bunch of rules. And that was like the one time that it fucked him over. And it wasn't what you'd expect. It wasn't a Democrat going, yeah, you can't make as much money. It was a Republican.
Yeah, I mean, I guess because your dad's in the renewable energy, which is like,
I think this
how.
was before renewable. This was when
Oh,
he was doing I think it was like train finance. Like he financed like new trains and shit like that. Like I know one of the
oh.
big things he did is he helped on the deal for the DC subway system or something like that. Which I gotta say, maybe I'm just I'm flexing with my family, but like it's really nice subway. I
It's
studied
the
in DC.
best subway.
The best subway.
No one has ever made a better subway.
Oh
Yeah.
man. Oh, it's just crazy all of that. Anyway, though, I think on to what is probably the main, most serious and most prevalent story. George Floyd and everything surrounding that. And oh boy, does nothing get me angrier than fucking just police brutality. I fucking hate authoritarian fucking shit infiltrating our society. This is something where I need to keep myself calm during. Let's just say that. I
Okay.
wrote out a lot of the points beforehand while seething in rage, just learning about all of this because oh my god, it's bad. It's
Yeah.
what do you think? What's your take on all of this right now?
Oh God. I mean, it's obviously horrible, and I saw like the other day he got like third degree murder, which is like I really don't think that's enough. Like, and like none of the other cops got charged for just standing and watching. They're complicit. But, apparently this has happened. Like, this isn't the first time it's happened in like Minneapolis. That's
Oh
where it was,
yeah,
right? Yeah, I think it's like happened multiple times with like cops kneeling on people and them dying. But
this was the one
you
time it
know,
was on tape.
yeah, I
That's
guess
the
so.
reason it got out. And the other thing is also, it's just like, why do I feel like cops are like fucking frat houses and not in any good way whatsoever? Like, it's, I, it's like like in a frat house they're like, oh boy, we gotta cover this shit up, no brothers say anything, except
Yeah.
frat houses at least have the excuse of being it's just a group of dumb fucking college students. Police are like in charge of law enforcement. Like I'm
Yeah.
not saying that like what like frat houses do like in those bad cases is like excusable. It's still fucking terrible, but they're not in positions of power. Like the biggest position of power is like Kyle, and he's like in charge of the keg. You know, like,
I
right,
mean,
yeah, I got control over the keg, brah. Who wants to fucking do some keg stands? You know, as
yeah.
opposed to stay in your homes or we will shoot you.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely like a good amount of like police that kind of use the job as like an outlet for their like some sort of power complex or whatever, but
Oh yeah,
there are definitely like good policemen, and I'd
there
like
are.
to
And
hope that's the majority.
the thing
Like,
is that
you
the other
know,
thing upsetting about this, and I think other cops need to realize this and stop like covering up for each other. Every time this happens, it makes all cops look bad. Because you notice people aren't just calling for the arrest of the guy who put the knee on George Floyd's throat. They're also calling for the arrest of the cops who stood by and did nothing.
yeah. I
And
mean,
that's what all
rightfully
those
so.
cops are doing when they're not calling out each other, when they're not saying this shit's wrong and we need to work on this. They're essentially saying, yeah, shit happens. Whatever. You
Yeah,
know, it the good cops
we need
need
to
to
get in the
stand.
way. Yeah,
I've seen some footage I've seen footage of good cops who are like
yeah, like
standing with protesters.
pulling other policemen off like people that they're like abusing.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like there definitely are good ones. It's just, I mean, I think it is a problem where there's so many layers. Like people go, well, if you arm the police the way you arm them, of course they're going to be ready for conflict. But then again, the reason the police are armed the way they are armed is because they need to be prepared to deal with people who are armed similarly.
yeah. I mean, there's guns in our country, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. So,
Oh yeah, that's a
I mean,
debate that's very hard, and honestly, while I have plenty of opinions on, I don't think it's really relevant to like this.
yeah,
maybe
yeah.
maybe
There's
one of
much
these days
more
on the
like.
politics show we'll discuss the gun control issue in depth. That
Well,
can be an idea for an episode. It'll be
what do
the
you?
least viewed episode until the next mass shooting happens.
So, what do you think about all the riots and everything? Do you think that's like an appropriate response?
It's okay. Here's a few things I've discovered, which is why I think it's a far more complicated issue, also than just violent versus non-violent. The thing is that yes, I am like basically every single other person on the planet where I'm like, peaceful protest is good. We can't let things get
Yeah.
violent because destruction of property, all of that. You don't want to burn down your own house, blah blah blah, all of that stuff. Thing is though, these protests aren't necessarily getting violent because of the protesters themselves. I've seen, and there's been footage and there's been like articles about this, like police officers in New York City, like leaving piles of bricks for protesters to chuck because they want them to chuck them so that now that they're violent, they can just
Oh,
crack
yeah.
down on them. You've
True.
seen protesters like with people with their hands fucking up. Like, gee, you know what? I'm gonna show some of this here. I'm gonna just share the screen real quick. Here we go. Yeah, all of these, this is just a Vox article, so it's, the pulled tweets and stuff, but like, look at this, like, see, like, that kid has his hands, he had his hands up, and they just fucking tore his mask down and just pepper sprayed him right in the face.
Yeah, that's
Or, like,
excessive.
you're just seeing, like, shit like this, like, peaceful protesters, just fucking like pepper
Yeah.
sprayed for no fucking reason. And of course there's this famous image, this famous video right here. This one I'm gonna put full screen. I think this one you just need to fucking watch, honestly.
Whoa. Jesus.
Yeah, that's right. They fucking just barreled through the fucking crowd. And you're seeing shit like this, like she wasn't even a protester, and like fucking police like shot her in the face with like a rubber bullet. Like maybe it's not a normal bullet, but fucking look at that.
Yeah, one thing I saw today was that apparently rubber bullets, you're supposed to like not shoot directly at a person. You're supposed to like bounce it off the ground or something to
Yeah,
like lower the velocity.
Yeah, that's their thing is they're rubber. That's why they're meant to be like bounced and shot. They're meant to be shot at people's feet so that when they bounce up, it like hits people's feet and they like, they do that little dance or whatever and want to run away. These things, the thing is, the bullet might be made of rubber, but it's using the same amount of propulsion as a fucking bullet is. So yes, it may be rubber, but it's flying at you faster than the speed of fucking sound.
Yeah, well, yeah. And people like, if you get shot in the eye or something, you're toast.
Oh, yeah, you just go fucking blind and you're just. And it's like one of my sister's friends, he was streaming Instagram Live a protest from New Haven that I was watching. And there were literally cops who were just like, if you don't leave in 10 minutes, we're going to escalate things. And cops were like openly like mocking and laughing at protesters, like trying to fucking aggravate them into violence. And like, I think they're doing that on purpose. I think they're doing it because the cops have a justifiable excuse to crack down on a violent protest, but not on a peaceful one. So you might as well try and make it go violent.
Yeah.
God fucking damn, that just.
And like they still use tear gas when that's like not allowed by like the Geneva Convention or something.
Yeah, you're not allowed to gas your own people. Oh, how dare you treading on my right to gas people? What the fuck? All right. Just like,
but yeah.
You know the thing I think a lot of these cops don't realize too? Do these cops just think, oh, so we make it go violent, we crack down on it, and it just goes away, right? People just forget about it. Even if these protests stop, the next time they start, the next time another fucking thing like this happens, and if there's no changes, it will fucking happen. It's gonna fucking like it will be even worse next time. And the thing is like they think, oh, if we just crack down on it after it's violent, everyone will just dissipate. No, violence begets more violence, and if the cops are starting the fucking violence, then they need to deal with the fact that these peaceful protests are going to turn violent because they're not going to be able to handle them. They think, oh, it's just going to go away. No, that's when people start coming out in force. Then if the cops start trying to use lethal weapons against people, they're going to start using lethal weapons against them.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Police also made protesters become violent in Boston yesterday. Did you hear about that? I didn't, Diane.
I heard a bit about that because of like BU represent. It's happening in cities all over the fucking country, even the world. Today, there have been there's been protests in London even about all of this. The U.S. has gotten condemned internationally by several African nations, and Beijing, fucking China condemned us. The ones who like sentence like entire like Muslim minorities of Uyghurs to genocide are like, yo, bro, you're taking this shit too far.
Did they really?
Yeah. I think they said something in, like the typical Chinese government way of saying things, which is kind of like, America suffers from the dreadful scar of racism, which it is clear will not heal so easily.
Yeah. I mean, like, obviously, those cops take it too far, and plenty of cops take it too far. But there's also people who, like, abuse cops for no good reason. It goes both ways. Like, those people were throwing shit at the cop car. Like, why?
That is true. To be fair, like
running them over was definitely an overreaction. Like
there are definitely cases that I've seen some good videos. I don't have them here. If anyone,
I saw one where
I saw one
Like
where like
cops were
protesters were.
kneeling in like
Oh, I
with
saw that. That's
protesters, and they went to like hug them and
yeah,
stuff.
that's one of the good ones I've seen. I've
Yeah,
also seen another one where, and this is good with protesters and stuff too, where you'll see like some of the protesters, are just destroying shit. Like some of the other protesters,
yeah,
like
they're just
will
like
like pick them up and
vandalizing
throw them,
businesses.
will, like pick them up and throw them into the cops, saying, "There's the vandal. The rest of us are protesting peacefully." And the vandal will get arrested, and everyone else can keep protesting peacefully, and like stuff like that. I like to see. I like to see cops aren't taking advantage of that to, try and get all the protesters. And also the protesters are, not letting people get away with trying to make this violent and destructive. I think that's something we should aim for. But
I mean,
we
I
also,
understand why they're resorting to violence because, like, you have all these peaceful protests in the past that got nowhere. But, like, I just think it's kind of counterproductive to just vandalize businesses that have nothing to do with the whole issue, Like, they're just.
it's one of those things where I think it's wrong that they're doing it. I understand why they're doing it as well. It's it's one of those things where I don't think you can justify those actions. There's no way you can say, yeah, that guy who burned down the AutoZone, he did it, he was in the right for doing it. He wasn't in the right. However, I think these can be explained. It's like if you're that angry against everything, like people take out their rage in different ways. I think rage isn't necessarily productive, but it is something that needs to be addressed. You can't just it's like the number one way to piss off someone who has lost control of their anger even more is just to go up to them and go, "Yo, bro, chill, man, relax. Why are you so angry, dude? Just relax." That dude's gonna feel like you're criticizing him for being angry, and he's gonna get angrier. Like, if people who get that angry aren't necessarily, rational.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
I
Depends on
think
the person too, but
what
yeah.
we need is we just need action to be done. We need a law passed. We
Yeah,
need
we do.
just like something has to happen, and it hopefully needs to get through the political gridlock.
I saw something today on TV. I was working out regrettably, and I was watching TV, and there was this commercial. It was just like a black screen with white words, "I can't breathe," and the sound of breathing, and it had a countdown from 8 minutes. And that was a long 8 minutes. Like just silence and breathing, and I can't breathe.
Yeah,
It's
that's
just
that's
like
the thing
shows
that
you really how long it was. Like
I
that.
know. It's insane when you think about it, because like yeah, it was a long fucking time, and it's like,
Yeah.
Jesus, I don't even know how people. I mean, I guess I know how people can do it. People can get violent, but it's like,
Yeah.
how could you live with yourself after literally feeling the life leave someone? Like, that dude's neck was on his throat. He had to feel his breath getting more and more shallow. Like, feel like
Yeah.
his like contortions as he struggled to breathe and be free, slowly tense and get worse, and then relax and just slow down until they slipped into death. Like, how could you be so psychotic that after that person has probably become completely fucking still, after they're basically already a corpse, you keep strangling them? Like, that's
Yeah.
the shit
I
you
mean,
see, like, from someone who's like, like, they found the dude who like raped their daughter and killed their wife. Like, I could maybe understand someone like going that far, maybe in a case that extreme. Maybe I could go, well, maybe don't throw the book at the guy. He kind of had a valid reason to go ape shit. I think you should punish him, but he had a Valerie. This dude literally, there was no malice, there's no hate. It was a random fucking cop stop. And all of that hate or malice, if it was there, had to come from just prejudice or bias. Like, how can people let hate dominate such a huge... It's...
Yeah, I mean, I think that cop in particular was also had done like shit like that in the past too. So it's like, he was just a bad guy, I guess. I don't know what his whole story was, but yeah, this whole ad I saw is sponsored by this organization, or like they have like a website, YouTube, Facebook. It's called Color of Change. It's like they have like this whole petition, and they have like all these changes to kind of fight against police brutality. And I mean, they look like they have a pretty good plan. So I don't know, maybe check them out.
Oh yeah, definitely, dude. I'm gonna do it right now. I'm not gonna do that through Facebook. I'll just do the
Well, they have it's colorofchange.org, or like act.colorofchange.org.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna put out a live tweet. Actually, let's do that. We'll get a live tweet going.
Like they have a lot of different things to like strengthen police use of force policies to protect human life and rights.
Oh yeah, it's
respond to mental health crisis with healthcare, not policing responses. Require independent investigation. Yeah, it's just a lot, but it looks it seems like a good
trying something. Yeah. This is the site right here. I encourage anyone watching to join and share the link to people or to donate. I plan on donating later. Right now, I'm not going to do it on stream because I'm not gonna,
What's your social security number?
I'm not going to show you all my I'm not going to show you all my info with my debit and credit cards or whatever, But I am going to leave this. I'm going to leave this on screen, just like
I think
here.
They have a list of all the stuff. Here, let me.
Good one, Reed. By the way, thank you for directing us to Color of Change. That's definitely a good thing to support.
Yeah. You might be able to see the actual list with that one. If that works.
Yeah, that's the sign up page. Yeah, I see. I'm gonna
just kind of scroll down.
I'm gonna put this in the comments. Everybody. Yeah. There we go. There we go, everyone. If you wanna check that out, it's this came out like this is just a perfect storm, dude. This is just
right.
This is literally the recipe for fucking chaos. Like I saw a fucking tweet and I didn't agree with like what the 4 choices the guy had, but he had like a valid step. He was like, step 1, stage 1, COVID-19. Stage 2, civil unrest. Stage 3, question mark. He had like a poll, and then I didn't agree with all the things on the poll, but like, what's the next thing? Like, after this is like kind of like we were already like strung up and stressed, and oh man, I'll say the one weird, but I will say good thing, and I support this because we need as many allies as we can get, though, is you saw some footage which actually confused me, and it was actually of some of the the more redneck, and I'm saying redneck because they self-proclaimed in one of the videos I saw, they said some redneck types, okay, in describing themselves. I don't mean to be derogatory in that, but the types who type of people who were the type who looked like they were the ones who were in the same city actually were protesting the lockdown earlier with all the assault weapons. And you saw some of them and they weren't racist or anything. They were there like, we fucking hate it when the police trample on our fucking rights. We're out here, show some support. Maybe that we have some firepower. The police will think twice. And I was like, okay. Like, we'll have a talk maybe later. Okay. But like, you know what? You want to help? I'm glad you're helping, man.
Mm.
It's like that's one thing that helps is racism is a terrible and ugly thing that our country is still cursed with and has been cursed with for a while, essentially. I think the world has been cursed with it, honestly. But it's important to remember that not everyone is. And I think, I don't know, a message I just want to get out there is like, if you are angry about all of these things that are happening, if you are feeling this distrust towards government and this anger towards the people who are perpetuating it and who are allowing it to continue, that's a good thing. Hold on to this anger, because it's a slippery fucking slope into letting these things become normal. And it's important for us to remind ourselves that it isn't normal, that this shouldn't be normal, and that this shouldn't be what we let be normal. Because we're allowed to choose what is normal and what isn't. And as long as we hold on to that rage and we remember that this is injustice and that this is just terrible and shouldn't happen, then we can learn from it. I'm not saying we will. I think at this point in my life, I'm too cynical to say for certain that we will. But I can say if we do allow this to be normalized, we certainly won't.
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes beyond a political issue. It's like a human rights issue, I think if you ask anyone their heart of hearts, like, should this happen, left or right, they say no, I think it's just, you should, the prime job of the state is to protect the people, right? So
yeah,
if you're killing your own people, that's kind of counterproductive. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's what it is. I think is society a group of individuals, or is it a collective of like-minded people? Because if the argument for allowing cops to do this is if we live in like a society we live in a society. But like we live in a whatever, I fucking lost my train of thought. If like the only people I could see saying this is like people who are like, oh well, we live in a society where everyone agrees to this, blah blah blah, and the thing is that that argument would only have weight if most people agreed with them, because that's the thing with a huge collective of like-minded people. They need to be like-minded to be a collective. I personally believe nations should be groups of individuals where individuality is allowed to shine, but at the same time isn't allowed to dwarf other people's individuality. Like my whole mantra is, I don't think that things should be illegal or like against the law, as long as they don't have the potential to ruin anyone else's life other than your own. Because I believe you should have the freedom to ruin your life. I mean, why would
Well,
you?
if you ruin your life, aren't you also ruining your family's life?
Well, the thing is that
So,
I think that might be something we should leave to families, though. You know, it's yes, it will suck with when some of that stuff happens sometimes, but like I think the government should step in as like a supportive role. Like for instance, I think one of the popular topics with this is like drug decriminalization. Like I don't think that like drugs should be fully legal. I don't think like you should be able to go to your local shop right and buy like some heroin, by Purdue or whatever, just like, oh yeah, I'm coming in, I'm gonna get myself 5 grams of the Iraqi black and 14 grams of the Mexican black tar. I think that should be good. But I do think it shouldn't be a crime. I think if police find you with that, you should be brought to treatment. You should be, you should be taught, hey, what you're doing is destructive to the people in your life. I think what a lot of families would prefer is not for that destructive family member to just be out of the family, to leave, to basically essentially die to them, to go to jail forever and be messed up and probably not rehabilitated because of how it works. Yeah. They want their family member back. They want whatever his or her name is before whatever force it was took control of their lives. And the truth is, it's far easier to lead someone with a gentle hand than with a firm fist, because people are typically stubborn and like to think they're right. And so if you just tell someone, oh, you're wrong because of blah, 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 they're going to go, fuck you, you're wrong. But if you tell someone you're not wrong, you've fallen into a very unfortunate circumstance, but we're here to help you, people are more willing to go, oh, well, you actually care about me. You're not just judging me. You actually care about me and want me to do well.
Yep. The whole prison system is kind of fucked in the U.S. We should focus more on rehabilitation
that's
over
Reagan got scammed. I'll admit, look, Reagan, not the greatest president we ever had, in my opinion, but also I don't think he was evil. It's like, I think Reagan actually thought everything he was doing was for good. It's just it didn't end up being that way. The reason, he started private prisons, I'm pretty sure. It was either him or Nixon, I forget who. It might have been Nixon, actually. But the reason either of them started is because those prison companies told them, we can do a better job and a cheaper job than you. They just flat out lied. It costs more to run a private prison by the government, by the way, not even the cost for the corporation. The government spends more to run a private prison. And also, those prisons have occupancy quotas. So they need to make sure they stay 95% full at all times. Or else they need to pay for it as if it was 95% full, and that's technically a waste of government money.
Yeah, I mean, the whole needing to meet quotas and stuff, as a policeman or a police officer, just you have to get fees or fines, or you have to arrest a certain amount of people, you have to fill the jails. It's the whole prison industrial complex. I mean, that all needs to stop, But
what I think it is? I think we brought aspects of industrialization too far. Now I'm pretty progressive scientifically, which means I do believe that things like industrialization and automation in the long run will be good for humanity. It's the thing is in the short run, it does cause a bunch of problems, which we need to look at and, address. But I think one of the things that shouldn't have been brought over from something from industrialization was quotas and to other areas of life. Quotas were good because for a factory owner or whatever, they could guarantee a certain amount of product, which, that's good because then they'll be able to sell that certain amount of product. The demand will be able to be met, blah, blah, blah. That makes sense in a market environment. Not saying I 100% agree with it, but it makes sense. How does a quota for the police make sense? Like, shouldn't your goal be as police to keep the peace well enough that you don't actually need to arrest that many people? Or at least maybe not for police, but an end goal for society. Like, the end goal for like law enforcement is so that people don't break the law, not so that you can bust more people who are breaking the law.
Yeah. That's
Like,
why. Yeah, that's why you gotta be a little more careful with how much you're speeding at the end of the month, because they gotta make their quotas for speeding tickets. And like it's
oh yeah, a hint I learned: a lot of like sheriff offices actually stagger it because that's semi well known. It's typically the third week of the month that you should watch out the most on. Always, like the
good
third
to
week,
know.
yeah, third week of the month is where they try to surprise you. They go, "We're gonna end it a week early and start the next like run earlier." I don't know. It's
Yeah, it's just fucked up. But yeah, I mean that's one of the things Color Change addresses is the whole
oh yeah,
quota thing. So, but yeah, I mean, getting back to the whole peaceful protests, violent protests, like I was talking to my dad the other day about everything, about this whole situation. He was like, yeah, I support peaceful protests, but like these guys, they're like, violently protesting. It's like, you know, it's not good. Like they shouldn't be violently protesting. Like they're good cops. Like they shouldn't be hurting all cops. They shouldn't like blah blah blah.
oh yeah. I think it's one
But then when you
scenarios I think where there's fault on both sides for it. With the protesters, there are opportunists. There are people who kind of thrive on chaos and they're like, shit, societal unrest, count me in. I'm grabbing the Molotovs, boys.
yeah,
They don't even care what it's about. They don't even read George Floyd. They read societal unrest and they're like, oh boy, this is fun. Which that's bad. Those people should be arrested, honestly,
yeah,
because they're. You also have cases though where there are cops aggravating peaceful protesters into violence because those protesters feel like they need to defend both themselves and their fellow protesters.
yeah.
I think
But
it's a complicated issue where I think violent protests is always bad, but what causes it isn't necessarily the people protesting in all cases.
yeah, but then you also have cases like Colin Kaepernick, how he was peacefully protesting and he lost his job. Like he got like he like lost out on millions of dollars. Like
Wait, really?
yeah, he was a
Wait,
NFL
I know he
quarterback.
protested. He lost his fucking job.
Well, yeah, he's like basically like never allowed to be in the NFL again. It's like
Oh,
seems to be.
was this
I
after?
mean, this was
Oh,
before earlier,
this was in 2016. Oh, I did know about this. I thought this was more recent.
but
I don't
like
follow.
yeah, he got like a settlement, but he's still and he ended up I think donating part of it. But like he's still good enough to be like at least a backup in the NFL, and that's like a good amount of money. He's not getting that because he peacefully protested. And like that's the type of and even though that's peacefully protesting that a lot of these people say they support, they're against Colin Kaepernick. Like my dad was like, yeah, I support peaceful protesting, but fuck Colin Kaepernick. Like that's disrespecting the flag. So it's like you can't really win. Like how are you
Yeah,
supposed to
it's like
protest?
yeah,
like you peacefully protest, it's disrespectful. You violently protest, it's like you're thugs, like Trump says. Like, oh,
I,
the guys, the Confederates with rifles in Subway who are protesting because they don't like wearing masks. They're good people, but people who
again.
protest brutality
I know it's
are
hard because a
thugs.
lot of people like football, but like, well, we gotta fucking boycott the NFL. They've been shitty for a while. Like, Oh
Well,
man.
that's easy for you because you don't like sports.
Oh yeah, true. It's oh my god, all this
I
fucking
was boycotting the NFL before it was cool.
yeah, it's like that's true. All those people, it's like, oh, so it's disrespect when you're peaceful, but it's fucking when it's violent. Of course, it's also bad. And they're like, be peaceful.
So how
Like
are you
what?
supposed to protest? Like,
Truth is that protest will invade on some people's sensibilities because it's due to those sensibilities that this shit happened. I don't, the truth is, all those people that go, it was disrespectful. It was disrespectful for the people who don't believe in the protest. It was disrespectful for the people who are either flat out racist or are willfully ignorant about all of it. I won't say, and willful ignorance isn't necessarily evil. It is kind of the fucking easy way out, though. I don't think you should take people who say willful ignorance as their argument seriously, because I choose not to know about this thing, and so I'm right.
Yeah, I mean,
Like, I'm sorry. Like, one thing is, like, especially with stuff like this, with the kneeling. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you get triggered when Colin Kaepernick kneeled? Did that trigger you? Like, you make fun of the left? Are you triggered right now? Is that it?
Yeah.
You're raising a fuss. You're getting rather angry. You're saying it's disrespectful, sir. I think we have it. You match all the symptoms. I'm sorry. We need to diagnose you with conservative snowflake syndrome.
Yeah, I mean, the whole point of a protest is really just to start the conversation, right? To get people talking about the issue so we can hopefully address the issue. Even though this has happened quite a few times and it seems nothing has changed, hopefully this is the last time, but
hopefully. And
that's a big hopefully.
There's a few reasons, even for, and I know this is probably 0% of my audience, and this isn't anyone I typically associate with, but even if you literally give no shits about black rights, let's say you're someone who doesn't really care about anything but how the government affects you. Let's just say that, okay? I'll be the most polite I can. Let's say you're like that. There's a reason you should still support things being done. It's because if nothing happens this time, this will happen again. And every time this happens, the protests will get worse and worse each time. Because every time these protests happen, and they happen mostly peacefully, and it's people just wanting things done, and nothing happens, there's going to be a few more people who go, well, maybe they won't listen unless I chuck a Molotov at the local auto zone. So if you care about your local auto zone, maybe you should try and get shit done as well.
And maybe that local AutoZone also took a really long time fixing my car. So maybe I'm also a little pissed off about this.
Torch the AutoZone.
Two birds with one stone.
Don't torch the AutoZone. I need to make sure, because this is the media and there are some people who take people's words religiously. Don't torch your AutoZone. It's not
a good idea.
Not a good idea. Not only will you get in legal trouble, but if you tell the police it was because I told you to do it, I'll get in legal trouble.
Not that we care about AutoZones. We just care about our own.
Yeah, who gives a shit about AutoZones? That's like, honestly, that's like part of the reason why, like, all the people who are like, and we saw this with like Charleston too, all the people who are like, but the protesters broke windows in Starbucks. Is what they did bad? Yeah, it's not really that great in comparison to what they're protesting for. I think it's all right. Maybe if like you dealt with the reason that like they're breaking shit, they won't break shit anymore. It's like, if your toddler keeps fucking smashing the vases, maybe what you need to do is take your toddler away from the vases instead of screaming at the toddler not to smash the vases. Fucking stop it, Jimmy! Stop fucking smashing the vases!
Take them away from the vases.
God, you fucking smashed another one! I told you not to! God damn it! It's like, you can tell them not to. They're not gonna fucking do it unless you fucking deal with the reason they're doing it. Reason the toddler's doing it is literally just because he's close to it. The reason people are doing it is for way fucking better reasons.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, maybe we should just go to Congress right now. I think we solved the whole issue. Just tell them everything.
Yeah, even if we did tell them everything, there would be some people on the left going, we should do more. There would be everyone on the right going, we can't approve this until we staple on anti-abortion legislation. And then it's going to get caught up in Congress because nobody wants the anti-abortion legislation to be passed. So the House will need to get it again, unstaple that from it, and then resend it to the Senate, who will staple that back on and send it back to the House, who will unstaple it and send it back to Senate, and eventually one of them will stop. Or nothing will happen as per usual because Congress is Congress. And then Mitch McConnell is like, I don't want y'all voting on things, so I'm just going to shut down Congress.
I mean,
I'm afraid of these votes passing because not all Republicans agree with what I tell them to. Big Brother is watching.
Yeah.
And then there's Mitt Romney in the corner, who's like being the closest to like a rebellious punk rocker that like a Mormon conservative can be. He's like in the corner, fuck you, yeah, like, you know, like punching a punching bag and then apologizing it to a bit, you know, because he didn't mean to hurt it, and then he's just like, fuck you, I'm going my own Mormon way. It's like, look, I don't think the Mormons should be in charge of like everything, but like, this one Mormon thing I do like is they do typically tend to be live and let live people. I don't like how they tend to segregate themselves from, you know, the rest of society and kind of like trap people in there. But at the same time, they also don't actively go around and be like, are you Catholic or Jewish? Go fuck yourself. I mean, that's probably because they wouldn't survive. You know, if it was the Mormons versus like the Protestants or the Catholics, we got a lot of Mormons, but not that many. And I don't think Salt Lake City is prepared to take on the rest of the world.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of interesting because, like, for some reason, they're not allowed to have coffee or as Mormons, so that instead of having like coffee shops, they have like soda shops, and you can just get like a bunch of different types of soda.
I think the reason is, and it's that is actually kind of hypocritical because technically sodas also contain caffeine. But the reason they did it, I'm pretty sure, was that the guy who founded it was big into what's it called? Being like abstinent. There's abstinence or whatever. He was big into that, and back then he basically banned what back then was every drug, and coffee he even considered a drug. You know, because of caffeine, he considered a lot of things drug because of those types of things. But nowadays, we have more things that contain caffeine than when that was written. And they're not going to change religious scripture, you know? They're not going to go, yeah, by the way, edit like 4.2.8 made blah, blah, blah 2020. By the way, soda also contains caffeine. And when he meant to ban coffee, he meant to ban caffeine because he meant to ban the drug in it. And so, which is why Mormons can drink decaf. And so we're also banning soda that isn't caffeine free.
Yeah, I mean,
it's probably one of those things also where, you know, religion is also a personal thing. It probably matters how seriously the Mormon themselves takes it.
Yeah,
Which, like, to
exactly.
be fair, because of how the Mormon Church is structured, like, more people are taking it way more seriously than in comparison to ratios with other religions. But, like, there's, like, I've met plenty of Mormons who are pretty chill. They're kind of just like, yeah, those are my beliefs. Do I think everything's great about the church? No, but you live with it. And
Yeah.
it's like you can't force people like that to, like, turn against everything. A lot of them, their whole family is there. That's their sense of community is in their religion. So you know what? Like, if they want to be like how the theater kids at our high school were, which I was a part of, where they say they're super, like, inclusatory, but they actually are, like, not. They just reject everyone outside who doesn't take their thing super seriously. Like,
Yeah.
okay, maybe that's something we'll talk about later, but we kind of have a lot on our plate of issues to get through. And it seems the government hasn't been hungry for a long time, and they've just kept shoving the plate. They've tried feeding it to the dog, but the dog's now morbidly obese, and the vet is like, if you feed him any more leftovers, they're gonna fucking die.
Yeah, I mean, the government's pretty corrupt with the like lobbying and super PACs and all that. But another thing that's another like online movement thing that I support that I think is cool is represent.us. If that's like a for ending government corruption to kind of make
Oh
them
yeah,
support the people more.
I've heard of
And then that would also help with the whole police brutality laws and all that. Because, I mean, I think the big thing preventing all these laws from taking place is the unions, like the police union
oh
needs to protect the police officer, even if they're like a super shitty person, you know?
that is a big thing. It's like, I'm all for unions, and I think unions should have power to negotiate with employers. However, I think I get why unions need to, like, to have law stuff as well, because in case someone is unfairly fired or terminated for something. But at the same time, I think, like, that's where unions should hold their defense, like unjust termination. When it comes to, like, criminal prosecution, they should stay the fuck out of it. Like, technically, being fired from your job unjustly isn't criminal prosecution, it's civil prosecution. You go through civil courts.
Yeah.
Oh no, this is, and we've been streaming for an hour. I think probably we should begin to call it before we just get too ranty and start talking about everything under the sun.
Yeah.
But yeah, Twitch stream coming to you hopefully later this week. My goal is Wednesday or Thursday. Maybe not this Friday, but coming Friday, I hope to get started the Strange Seconds Politics show. If any of you guys want to be involved, feel free to leave a comment below or join my Discord. I'll leave a comment with a link for that as well in the description below. As always, I've been your host, Will Whitman, or at Draws Whitman on Twitter. Let our co-host, I guess, outro himself.
I'm Reed. And yeah, thanks for listening and hope this was somewhat entertaining.
And hope
informative.
hope you've had some entertaining strange seconds with us. See you next time. We're out.